and the ways that we all need to move along. So I want to talk a little bit about pain. Pain this morning. It's always a little bit of a complicated subject. I think I just took a class this morning for hospice about pain. Obviously, as a hospice nurse, it's probably one of the biggest things that I work with patients is managing pain and being able to find ways of coping with pain. And this week I just want to tell you a brief story about a patient I had this week who, very young, a 43-year-old woman who died this week. And she was remarkable in the sense that, you know how you come across people in your life, whether they're people you know well or just kind of passing through into your time, who have such grace where you always wonder, like, what's the secret to your grace? How do you have such equanimity amidst the challenges that we all face? And this woman was the example of that to me. She just bestowed upon me a lot of inspiration about how to manage the struggles that we all face. And of course, we're all going to face our own death. But can you imagine having your death come at such an untimely time when you have young children and all this? So it's been making me think a lot, and I see the ways in which people cope with their suffering in so much variety, that it always makes me wonder when you come across people who seem to have a really beautiful way of managing. What is there? What's happening that we can all learn from to help us manage our pain? And pain is complicated. It can be emotional pain, spiritual pain, physical pain. Even physical pain can be all sorts of types of physical pain. And we've all experienced pain. So what are your ways? What are your coping skills that you've learned over the course of your life that help you cope with your pain? And feel free to type something to me in the chat box if you want. But I think some people feel very cagey when they have pain, and some people disassociate when they have pain. Some people face it head on. Some people feel that there's a attachment or a judgment to how you cope with pain. For me, some of the hardest pain to deal with is not my own pain, but the pain of my children. Seeing my children in pain is probably the hardest thing for me. And I bet I'm not alone in that sensation. So yoga has so much that can help us when we are coping with all the types of pain that we have to endure in our lives. And pain can be a way to get us closer a little bit to the deeper parts of ourselves. So not to say bring pain on, nobody wants pain, but it can be a tool that we can use spiritually to help us along our way. So besides the obvious of keeping our bodies physically fit and agile through our yoga practice, healing meditations, that's one thing that's coming through on the chat box. Our yoga practice in its physicality can be very helpful for coping with pain. It brings us into the present. It brings us into our body. It can physically help with pain. But on a more emotional, spiritual sense, the practices of yoga, of this deeper work that we do really can build fortitude within us to have a sense of resiliency and capacity to handle what life throws at us. And I know I see many faces here, and I know some of the pain that some of you have been through and have endured and come out the other side stronger for it. And, so I know that there's skill in this group of people. So some of the things that yoga has to offer besides the physicality is the breath. And if there's ever something that can keep us grounded, it's the breath. So if you tend to run away, if you tend to disassociate or use coping skills that tend to disassociate you when you are suffering, mind, body, or spirit, how can your yoga practice kind of help you just carefully bring yourself back and nurture the part of you that is suffering, so that we don't have to banish the parts of ourselves that are in pain? So working with breath can be a really wonderful way. But I think the greatest thing that our yoga practice gives us is the capacity to stay, to be present for what is, regardless of if it's something very joyful and be present for that, as well as for something that's very painful. Can we train ourselves to be present and use the tools that we have? So another thing that's coming in is focus and then distraction in a mindful balance. Yeah. So distraction is different from disassociation when we use tools that help us find pleasure amidst pain. So when I was growing up, my father, I had a lot of, education around this in my family, but when you have pain in one area of your body, can you focus on some other part of your body that is feeling good? And that can just be a little example of distraction, where you bring your attention, your focus onto something different other than the all-encompassing aspect of physical or emotional pain. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and think about, well, first of all, are you in pain right now? Are you in physical pain at all? Are you in emotional pain? Are you in spiritual pain? And, do you even know what that really means, to be in spiritual pain? Can you connect with that? Is that a sense of understanding there? And just take stock, just like we do every time we come onto our mat, as you close your eyes and become present for what is happening within you. Can you take stock of what you're feeling instead of denying what you're feeling? And if you do have physical pain, let's start with physical pain. If you do, what do you do to manage it? Can you use some of the tools that's already been spoken about from me and in the chat box? Is there ways that you manage your pain? Is there ways that you manage your pain that maybe aren't so helpful, that do tend to disassociate you or, um, have a secondary effect that actually causes more pain, such as reaching to a bottle or, there can be many, many things. Do you allow yourself to stay present for your pain or do you try to run away? Running away is not a bad thing. It's a very obvious thing. Nobody wants to be in pain. So the last piece of kind of knowing yourself around this is, how do you treat yourself in your response to pain? Do you have judgment around how one should respond to pain? And where does that come from? And can you find this trail through the more elusive aspects of pain, the emotional pain, the spiritual pain? Can you think, are you feeling any of that, first of all? Is there anything present that's causing you pain? How are you managing it? Do you have judgment around it? And can we, for a moment, bring our higher selves as a healer and a compassionate presence for the parts of us that are hurting right now? Can you be your own support? Can you hold with deep love and compassion the parts of you that are hurting? Is there a visual that comes along with that? Is there a sensation that comes along with that? And can you bring that compassionate presence into your practice today? So place your palms at your heart and bow in. And can this compassionate presence be the grace that I spoke of earlier? Can you let yourself be washed in a compassionate presence, detaching from expectations, detaching from judgments, and instead just holding that space of compassion for self. Offer an intention specifically for whatever it is you need in your practice today. And let's release the hands and come onto our back. All right, so allow yourself to lie down. And first, just drop your body down. Feel that sense of ease. And if you tend to clamp down with pain, if your body kind of shrinks around pain or guards around pain, see what you can do to open yourself up, to let yourself be as free as possible on the floor, and start to discover our breath. Oftentimes our breath can unwind our guarding and decide whether it's necessary. The guarding might be necessary, but maybe it's not. The breath can be a tool in and of itself to cope with the uncomfortable sensations of mind or body suffering. So start to explore your breath in the way it makes you feel. Slow things down. Let the breath be expansive. As you inhale, let it reach into all parts of you. And as you exhale, melt, loosen the guards up. Anywhere you might be holding tension, anticipatory guarding, reactionary guarding, historical guarding, whatever it is for you. See if you can use your breath to unravel a little bit of that. All right, then let's start to move. So stretch your body, lengthen through your sides. Stretch your right, stretch your left. Come into that state of presence, opening up the sensations that you feel to go beyond just the relaxation on the floor and into some energy building in the body. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit. Can you get to know yourself well through your practice? Can you give yourself the gift of presence so that when you start to work with pain, you might have some skill. You might know, oh, I can only go this far before it really pushes me over the edge, or this action in my body makes me feel better. So start to know yourself. Start to know as you circle your knees a little bit, what helps your back feel better? What helps your joints feel better? What helps, whatever's hurting, what helps? And when you find something that helps, can you explore that? Can you be curious about it? Can you practice it? All right, so right knee into the chest, stretch your left leg long on the floor, roll out your ankles and stretch open your feet. And just as much as we explore and be curious about what helps our pain, let's also be curious about what hurts us. Where do you step over boundaries that you shouldn't, that may cause pain? Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Can you let go of ego and judgment? Of what you should or shouldn't be able to do, or what you wish you could do, so that you can stay within the healthy movement patterns that really satisfy and serve you today. Both knees into the chest, open your knees out and bring them back in. And in order to know where those boundaries are, you really have to pay attention. We need to be present and not mindlessly moving in habituated patterns just because that's how we always move. All right, let's roll over onto our side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Start to find some cat-cows as you get situated. So with your hands onto the earth and your knees onto the earth, can you feel some yielding? Is there any place here that you can soften or strengthen? And let's start to move into some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking care to notice your vertebrae, see what it feels like to open each of them up one at a time, explore how each segment of your spine feels today. And are you expanding into movement that feels good? So move into the edges, but don't go past your edges. Sometimes we don't know where the edges are, and this is where being present in our body really comes in handy. Move around, swirl around, and there's also those types of pain where you kind of just have to move through it and then it gets better.
And the beauty is you are inside your body. You know you. Nobody else knows you the way you know you. So whatever you find, whatever you experiment and be curious and find, know, tuck that information into your bank so that you can always be present for that. Walk your hips back to child's pose. Take any modifications you need with your hips, knees, or shoulders. Stretch your arms if you can. Walk into some length through your side ribs, and let's walk to one side. Open up the breath now. Make room for breathing. Enjoy the expansiveness in the rib cage. Let your head melt. Soften the base of the skull. Pay particular attention to places not only that you need to be mindful of for the presence of discomfort or a range of motion that's needs to be modified, but also pay attention to what feels good, what's working in your body, what feels nice. This is that distraction piece where we can find our mind settling and being grateful, deep gratitude for all that's working well. Enjoy the space to breathe. All right, let's walk back onto all fours. Have a moment to feel your spine and then come to dog pose. So open up your feet, pedal your feet. You can drop one heel and bend at the opposite knee. You can feel that stretch through the calves, through the ankles. Feel the sit bones lift and widen. Feel the extension through your spine as best as you can. Feel both the yielding and the reach. Feel how long your spine, how long your legs can get. Enjoy the space. Melt through your face. Discover your breath. Your breath is your guide to sense what you're sensing, so be present for it as much as possible. And then walk forward, come into Uttanasana, fold in half. Relax, feel free to shake and wiggle. Move any part of you that needs some moving. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing. Spine extends, leg extend. Exhale and fold forward. Push off your feet. Rise all the way up. Bringing the arms up if it feels comfortable or your body likes that. Open up, spread open your wings, spread open the heart. And then release your hands down. Shrug your shoulders, roll them a few times. We're going to get into some heart opening today. Get that feeling that we don't have to guard our hearts so much. Roll your shoulders the other way. See what it feels like to move your shoulder blades around. Then maybe one at a time and go both directions. Just feeling that sense of ease. Now shake out your hands. Find your breath. Everybody's doing too much texting and typing these days, so just feel what it feels like to let some tension go through your arms. Bring your arms up again, spread open your wings to a cactus, feel the pecs stretch open, and then reach the arms out. Just have your palms facing down for a moment. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears, and then flip your palms open all the way from the shoulders. Feel the stretch into your fingertips. With our palms up, stretch the fingers down toward the ground. Find the breath, and then reach those two arms up in the air. Exhale and fold forward. Relax. Are you waking up in your body? Inhale, halfway lift. Extend the spine here. Exhale and fold back down. Step your left foot back. Your right foot comes forward, finding a lunge on this side. Open up through your chest. Feel the extension through your heart. Find your breathing. Slow yourself down enough where your breath is here for you. You're guided by your breath. Squaring the hips, straightening the front leg, bowing the head, coming back with your knee forward. So just exploring the openness of your hamstrings. Feel a little bit of that sciatic nerve. As you lunge, feel the openness through the hip flexors. Back and forth just a bit. Let's come down, place your back knee on the floor, either curl your toes or uncurl your toes, and go ahead and lift yourself up. Maybe your arms are able to come up, maybe your arms don't like to come up, so you need to put them someplace else. Are you within your range of motion that's healthy for your body? Root through the big toe, stay connected. The inner thighs are finding their way toward the midline. Find your front heel and press it down. Feel the connection of your front heel and your back knee. Pay really close attention to your lumbar spine and how free it can feel. Exhale and release the hands down onto the ground. Take your hand to the inside edge of your foot. Keep the back knee on the floor for just a moment till you situate your front hip and get it into the groove. And then if you want, you can curl your back toes under and lift that femur bone off the floor. You can keep your back knee down as well. How are your shoulders? Are they rounded and hunched? Is your heart pulling up into your chest? Can you expand 360 like your heart is a sun that shines all around? Breathing. Let's step back to dog pose. Bring that foot back, extending through the spine. Come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady here. Feel the stability. Try to have just a moment of push the floor away. Feel your shoulder blades pull apart. And then melt the heart a little bit toward the floor, not to the point of collapsing your shoulders. And just feel how your shoulder blades, even in a stabilizing pose like this, has a little bit of range of motion on the ribs. Engage your core. Breathe. And then put your knees down and come down to the floor. Lie on your belly. Notice, there's also a little bit of difference between pain that needs to be paid attention to and adjusted in your movements. And then there's also just the uncomfortableness of moving and using your muscles. So try to find the difference between the two so that you can stay content through the effort and also know when you need to maybe adjust. Take a deep breath in for another cobra pose. Open the chest up. Exhale and come back down. Let's engage our lower legs here for a moment. Put your head on your hands. Lift your right leg up in the air. Stabilize through your core. Start to feel the center body support you here so you're not just falling into the earth with your belly. Find that 360 corset around you. Engage through your glutes. And then let that leg come down onto the floor and change sides. So if you're not sure or feel it, just relax everything into the floor. Don't engage your belly and lift your leg up and just feel what happens in your lumbar spine. Then put your leg back down. Recommit to engaging through your core and lift that leg up. You won't go as high, but there's a whole lot more space for your lumbar spine. Pay attention there. Breathe there. And then release and you lower your leg down. Come up onto all fours. Move around any way you want. And as you're ready, your left foot is coming forward to a lunge. Lift the back knee up off the floor. Feel the heart grow. Shoulders are away from the ears. And then let's start moving. Square the hips, tuck the chin toward the chest. Find that sense of being able to go back and forth, feeling the groove of your sciatic nerve, possibly giving it a little glide, a little flossing. Feel the hip flexors open on the back leg. All right, great. And then next time you get to a lunge, let's put our back knee onto the floor. Before you lift your arms up off the blocks, find your stable legs. Hug into the midline. Try not to fall and collapse. You want to go into your lunge without sinking. Feel the reach of your spine. So whatever your arms are comfortable doing, you can have some platters where you're holding your hands out to the side. A lot of strength in your back body to do this. You can lift your arms up if that's comfortable for your shoulders. Hands can be out. Just find what's going to give you the stability of the back body, the openness of your shining heart. So it's not just pushing the chest forward, but the side bodies, the back body, everything's expanding, open, stabilizing through your core. How's the base of your skull? Can you relax something? And then let's release the hands down onto the ground. Take the hand onto the inside edge of your foot. And keep the back knee down for just a moment while you organize that front hip. Get it into the flexion that it can find. Open the heart. Try not to hunker the heart up into the chest. See what it feels like to expand. And then if you're ready and want to, you can lift the back knee up off the floor. Reach your crown and your tail. Feel the sense of stability through your core. Breathe deeply. Let your front knee hug toward your arm. Good, and then step that foot all the way back to dog pose. Find your breath, walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt and come back down. Push off your feet, rise up again. Reaching the arms up. This time when we take our hands out, palms are facing straight toward the walls next to us. Drop the shoulders, open across the heart. Find the hands and bring them just slightly back behind the shoulders. Feel the base of your skull relax. Try to keep your upper traps out of this. Breathing well. And then relax the arms. Shake out your wrists again. Couple of shoulder rolls. Maybe turn them into arm rolls too if that feels comfortable for your shoulders. Couple times each direction. And then we're going to interlace our hands behind our back. We run the risk of rolling our shoulders forward here. So pull the heads of the arm bones back. Open up your chest. Try stretching your hands toward the floor a bit. Unlock the elbows. Take a breath, bend your knees and come forward. Stretch, open the shoulders, relax your neck. Take a deep breath here. Release the arms to the floor. Shake things out. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back to a lunge, feeling that sense of length and space. Open up your spine. Grow as long as you can. Take your arms off the blocks. Palms are down toward the floor. Arms are back. Lift your triceps a little higher than your back. And notice, what is your back doing? Can you integrate your front body into the back? Stretch your crown and tail. And let's move with breath here. Take a deep breath in. Stretch your left arm out in front of you. Exhale and switch. Right arm comes forward. Left arm goes back. Keep breathing and switching. Okay, let's end up with the left arm out in front of us. Once you do, come up to a lunge here. Reach the other arm up to and grab onto that wrist. A little bit of a stretch. You can open up through your side body here, bending over just a bit to the right. And then we're going to turn the torso toward our knee and place your elbow on your knee. Palms together. There's so many ways to back off the depth of that. You can put your hand on the floor and find a twist. You can put your back knee on the floor and just take your forearm onto your knee. There's lots of ways to modify this deep twist. Whatever you're choosing to do, lengthen the spine, the crown, the tail, all the way to the back heel. If your thigh's off the floor, lift that femur bone up in the air. Engage your glutes. Press your front heel down. Engage your back hip. Find your breath. All right, and then unwind the pose. Rise up again, reaching the arms. Maybe not, maybe the arms go somewhere else. Place the hands down onto the ground, back foot comes forward. Melt into the legs, let the right leg dissipate some energy into the left. Halfway lift, extend the spine. Finding the breath here. Step your right foot back. The left foot is coming forward. Establish your legs first. So ground in, feel where you need to be in space, and then take your arms back behind you. The palms are facing down. Look at the floor. Feel the back body, and then move the front body into the back body. So we're not laying on our thigh. And then let's take the right arm out in front. Left arm is behind. And then switch. Move with breath. Can you feel that you're both mobile and stable? That as you're moving your arms, you're mobile and stable. And then end with your right arm out in front of you. We're going to lift up just with that arm to begin. Open up through your chest. And then when you're ready, reach with that other arm. Give a little tug onto that wrist if it feels good. Open up through the side waist. Open up through the hip flexor. Try not to crunch and smush through that other side. And then we're going to turn this into a twist. So bring all the choices are there on this side as well. You can put your hand down onto the ground and open up to an open twist. You can place your back knee onto the floor and take your forearm onto the knee. You can go deeper and place your elbow. Palms can come together. Back knee can lift off the floor. Whatever you're choosing to do,
Extend the spine, stretch it all the way to your back foot, especially if your thigh is off the floor. Use your glutes. Press the front heel, lift the back leg with your glutes. Feel your breath. And then exhale and relax. Bring your hands down, come back to a plank. When you come into this pose, dissipate the legs again, find neutral, find balance. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Put your knees down onto the ground, lower yourself to the floor. Take your hands a little bit so you want your fingers in line with your nipples. Take your shoulders away from the ears, draw the elbows back, start to feel the back body kick into gear here a little bit. Engage through your core, take a deep breath. We're gonna lift up with no hands. So see what it feels like. You're not gonna go very high. How's your back? Are you stabilizing with your front? Only go as high as your body can support. And then exhale and melt back down. Come up onto all fours, have a moment. Now, if you're, avoiding back bends because your back isn't healthy for back bends right now, there's always ways to work with these muscles without having to move your spine so much. So you can engage the back body and your glutes and all the muscles in the back of you without doing a lot of extension. So just go where your body can go. When you're ready, let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana again. Okay, we're gonna come into half splits, mostly to get the engagement of our glutes. So first, just come into a half lift. Put your hands on the blocks, extend the spine. Thigh bones move back, shin bones move forward, a little inner spiral of your upper thighs. Feel the extension of your spine. Now notice, before we lift any legs, note, where does your spine like to go? Is there a place that likes to drop and sink? Are you very mobile? Do you have a lot of range of motion in your vertebrae? And if so, you may need to stabilize more, okay? So find the core. When you're ready, stand on your right foot and lift that left leg in the air. Balance out your hips. The work we've done the last couple days with a lot of balance, if you have been in class, you might be a little sore in your outer hips, so just feel the energy of your outer hips kicking into gear. Inner spiral of the thighs, stretch your foot in the air, extend the spine. Find your breath here. Now, can you fire up the glutes, all of your glutes? See if you can find the full access of gluteus maximus, medius, and minimus in that leg in the air. Breathe, pulse a couple times if you need it, if you feel like you have trouble kicking that muscle into gear. Exhale, curl in, knee drops behind the knee, a one-legged squat. And then as we start to come out of this, go super slow-mo. Push your foot on the ground to feel the glutes on that standing leg. Start to straighten that leg in the air, extending the spine. And then place your foot down onto the ground next to your other foot. Come into a chair pose, squat. You can use a block between your thighs if you want. I promise we'll do the other side. Squat in, weight in the heels, drop your center of gravity down. If you're working with the back bend energy, lift your arms up. What does it feel like when you do this posture to not let an overarch happen in your back or an underarch happen in your back? Can you feel that sense of balance? Can you use the muscles in the back sides of your shoulder blades? Can you drop the shoulder blades down the back? And if your shoulders don't like this, do the action with your elbows down like this. See what it feels like to hold that same energy without your shoulders having to be engaged. And then stand up straight. Take a deep breath. Exhale and fold. If you're using a block, take it out. Halfway lift. Feel the extension in your spine. Inner spiral, feet are broad, lift and open the heart. And then when you're ready, let's move into the left foot. Hands can stay on the blocks as we lift our right leg up in the air. So the first thing that might happen is your hip might lift high. See if you can square the hips. Your standing leg is gonna have to work a lot in that outer hip, so give it some juice there. Feel your knees soften, push the floor away. Lift that leg in the air. And notice you can kind of lift your leg without using your glutes at all. It's weird that you can actually do that, but you can. So instead, engage. See if you can fire all the muscles. Feel your entire glute on that right side. Fire up. hug onto the sacrum, hug onto the pelvis. Feel your leg lift from the strength of your glutes. These are our extender muscles, so let's get used to using them in this way. Pulse a couple times if you want. Breathing. And then when you're ready, tuck your knee behind your knee. Feel that one-legged squat. Round in a bit. And then slow-mo. Push yourself out, slow-mo. Feel your glutes work on that standing leg. Reach the leg in the air. And then exhale and place your foot down onto the ground. Enjoy one more time the extension of your spine and a half lift with your hands on blocks. Exhale and melt and fold. Okay, rise up, push off your feet. Pause here for a moment. Let's platter the arms now so palms are facing up. And then open them out to the sides. Can you feel the work in the back of your shoulders? Can you feel where do you fire up when you do this? Is it balanced between your left and right sides? Do you have a sense of weakness going on? And does that correlate to any pain patterns that you experience? So part of working with our discomfort in our body is learning our body. Where do we move well from? Where do we have some imbalances? Where are we weak that we can strengthen to support ourselves? And then release the arms, big open chest, arms open, big wide circle. Exhale and fold forward. Relax your neck, subtly shake out that upper trap. Inhale for a halfway lift. Step back to dog pose. And now we're going to get into the opening the hip flexors a little bit more. So stack open the hip, lift one hip higher now. Feel that the left side of your body might fall. Lift it up, both your thigh and under your armpits. Stretch into the belly and the hip. Square the hips. Bring the knee to the chest. Round in, feel your core. Inhale, bring that leg back straight. Exhale, mindfully place your foot forward into a lunge. Plant your back heel all the way down to the ground. Virabhadrasana 1. Warrior 1. Stay low for a moment. Arms back like we did in crescent lunge before. Palms face the floor so you're engaging your triceps. Feel the backside of your rotator cuffs kick into gear from those platter arms. Lift your rib cage off your thigh. Rise up a little bit more. Feel both heels move into the earth. Fire up your glutes on both sides of your body. Maybe your arms go into a different position now. Maybe they come up, maybe they come out. Whatever you're doing, be mindful that you're not smushing the low back. We're lengthening. We're rooting into the back heel, lengthening, engaging that glute. So hug onto the sacrum. Feel both heels smushed into the floor a little bit so you feel that grounding. Breathe deeply. Open up the heart. Maybe your upper back can do a back bend here. Exhale and release the hands to the floor. Back foot comes forward. We're going to go backwards through that. So step your right foot back. Left foot is coming forward. Virabhadrasana 1 on this side. Arms coming back behind you. Palms are facing the floor. Engage the back body. Lift the rib cage into the body. Use your core. Feel the growing length from crown to back heel. Slowly start to rise up. Your hips are not square, but allow them to start moving in that direction by taking your front knee deep into the hip socket. Press both heels into the earth. Find your glutes. Open up your chest. Breathe deeply here. Maybe you come into an upper back bend. So can you open up the thoracic spine? Do your shoulders like that? Do you need to modify in some way? All right, and then exhale. Place the hands down onto the ground. Lift that left leg up and back. Square hips. Exhale, knee to your chest. Plank pose. Inhale, bring it on back. Stack open the hip. Lift it up. Lift underneath your right armpit now. Lift on your right hip up. Try not to collapse that side. Maybe your knee in the air is bent. Maybe it's straight. All right, square the hips. Put that foot back down onto the ground. Come forward into a plank. When you're ready, lower yourself down to the ground. Come onto your forearms. Remember to not sink into the floor with your low back. So finding your core stability, we're gonna reach back and grab our right foot with our right hand. You can stay low, your head can be on your other arm, or you can come up a little bit. Grab on. If you can't grab, use a strap. So just get into your quads a bit. Tailbone moves toward the knee, pubic bone lifts up. Feel your transverse abdominis, all those deep abdominal muscles that stabilize and hug around your spine. Breathing, relax your neck. And then melt and release that quad stretch. Other side, so your forearm is on the ground. You reach back with your left arm. You can put your head on your right arm, or you can lift up a little higher. Be very mindful to not sink into the lumbar spine. So when we're doing back bendy poses, we want our thoracic spine to be what's opening, not our lumbar spine. You can make this not a back bend at all for those of you who don't back bend. Just keep your torso way low on the floor and just stretch your quad. Reach your knee, reach your tailbone, lift your pubic bone, engage through your core, stay in your breath. Are you present? Are you paying attention to where your range of motion is? What is a good feeling? What is a bad feeling? Start to get to know this for yourself instead of just running away from sensation. The more we live in sensation, the more we can refine sensation. Go ahead and come back up onto all fours. Have a moment to free up your back. You can sway like a fish or anything that feels good in your spine. Breathing well. Okay, come onto your back. Let's find bridge pose. So this is a nice, beautiful back bend for most people because we don't hurt ourselves very easily in this pose. So it's a good back bend to incorporate into your practice regularly. You have a lot of control over where your body goes in space. So it's a very healthy back bend. Let's start with our palms facing up on the floor next to our hips. And we're gonna come up, lifting your hips, and then, okay, actually come back down. If you always roll one shoulder under first, try doing the other one, because this is just one more level of a habituated pattern in our body that we wanna adjust and not always go into the pathways that we travel in most. And then once you're on the tops of your shoulders, check in with your neck. Are you too much onto the tops of your shoulders? Did you just feel compression in your neck? Your cervical spine should feel easy and free, not pushed into the ground. The back of the head can have a little pressure on it. Lift the pelvis. Now decide, do you want to keep your arms like that, or would you rather try interlacing your arms underneath you? Do what's right for your body, okay? Make sure your elbows and your shoulders and your neck are happy with your choices. Pay attention. Go in the range of motion that works for you. And then root into the feet. Feel the big toes, the inner feet. Feel the inner thighs. Hug an imaginary block. Can you fire up the glutes like you did in those Vera ones? Pull your heels toward your chest so that you get the feeling of your glutes working. Reconnect to the inner thighs. See what it feels like to hold yourself in extension with a lot of different muscle groups. Your inner thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes, your outer hips. Even your quads are working in this pose. How's the breath? Can you unguard yourself? Let the back bends free you. And then release and melt onto the floor. Turn your head from side to side. Check in, make sure your neck did not take tension in this posture. Okay, we have two directions to go from here. So this is when we diverge, depending on what your body is needing today. So if you are feeling, you can repeat the bridge we just did. If you know how to do Urdhva Dhanurasana and you feel safe during the full back bend, by all means, you're prepared and warmed up enough for a full back bend. I'll cue that. Or if you're feeling like, oh no, I need something a little bit more restorative, let's try to take a block underneath the pelvis for a bridge pose. We're all going to do a restorative pose in just a moment, a restorative back bend in just a moment. So choose one of those. I'll cue Urdhva Dhanurasana. Elbows come in, and then elbows go down. So feel that before we do anything else. Feel the elbows in line with the shoulders and the elbows hugging into the shoulder joints. Then place your hands behind you. Hopefully we did enough wrist stretching earlier for this to be available to you. And once again, elbows in toward each other, elbows down toward the floor. And then come up onto the top of your head and repeat. Elbows into each other, elbows into the shoulders. Fire up your glutes, push into the feet, feel the back body in its fullness as you lift yourself up, and then adjust. See what you're capable of doing. For some people, you can't even get up off the floor, and that's fine. You're doing lots of work without getting up off the floor. And a lot of times people flail out their elbows or knees, so keep things in line. Elbows in toward each other, elbows down toward the shoulders, knees hug an imaginary block between your thighs. A slight inner spiral will just slightly take away some of the pressure on your SI joints. Use your glutes, press your feet into the floor, open the breath no matter what you're doing. When you're ready to come out of Urdhva Dhanurasana, come out slowly. When you're ready to come out of bridge, come out slowly. Everybody lie on the floor for a moment. And just notice, when we turn our spine away from the pattern of guarding, our guarding pattern is to round our thoracic spine. We do it all day long in protective ways, in habitual ways. And sometimes in our yoga practice, some of the best things we can do is nourish an extended spine. And this doesn't have to be a huge back bend. This can just be a sense of opening the heart. So once again, pay attention to your body and what you're capable of. Let's rock our knees from side to side here, just twisting a little bit, windshield wipering our knees, breathing well. We have one more back bend to do. And then we'll go the other way and nourish. So roll over onto your side. You get to choose whether you're going to take a block for a heart bench. Maybe the blocks are at the same height today so that you really feel that thoracic spine. Maybe there's no block and you only have one under your chest. Maybe you roll a blanket or fold a blanket and use a blanket underneath your shoulder blades. So I'll cue the one with just one block. I'm going to use the block across my shoulder blades. Okay. So finding right in the center of your shoulder blades. If your head is comfortable tipping back, great. If it's not, put a blanket or a block underneath it. Perhaps you have a blanket underneath you instead of a block. Everybody grab onto your elbows. Hug your elbows into your shoulders. So crossing hands to opposite elbows. And then start to lengthen your arms. Now, for some people's shoulders, you may not even get this far. So you decide you might need to have your shoulders, your palms up and your arms straight out like a T. And it might feel good to have a block underneath your forearms so that you have the same height underneath your arms as you do underneath your back. So you might potentially have to have a whole lot of blocks or blankets here. If you're able to have your arms stretched up, then do that. Whatever you're doing, open the chest. Feel the change of direction of the thoracic spine. The opposite of the slump. Breathe into that. Feel your diaphragm stretch a bit. You can always try changing the position of your arms, change the cross of your holding, change where your arms are in space. And then let's go ahead and release. If you haven't already, release the arms down at your sides. Bend your knees. Come off your your block or your blanket. And go ahead and find your way onto your back. Bend your knees for a moment. Just bring your arms wherever is comfortable. And take a moment to feel that you're not collapsed. That you can stay open in your breath, open in your chest. That the ways that we suffer do not have to shrink our hearts. All right, and then right knee into the chest. Give a little bit of a hug.
And then we're going to interlace our hands behind our hamstring or grab a strap around your foot and lift your right leg straight up in the air. Finding the breath. Stretching through your glutes and your hamstrings. And then we're gonna, you can do this with the straight leg if you want, with a strap around your foot, or you can bend your knee. And we're not gonna go super far, so don't take a giant twist where you're trying to get your knee to touch the floor. We're just stretching the outer glutes a little bit. Take a deep breath here. Settle your body. We're down now. We're down on the floor, so let your body start to rest here. And then inhale. Bring that knee back up and place that leg long on the floor. Bring your left knee into your chest and give a good squeeze. And then decide whether you want to use a strap around your foot or interlace your hands behind your hamstring to stretch that leg straight up in the air. Breathe well. And then you either choose to, if you're using a strap, you can have this leg straight to come into Padangusthasana 3, or you can bend your knee and come, don't go really far. So we're not trying to do a giant spinal twist. We are going to twist in a moment, but first just open up the hip. Relax, bring yourself back. Wrap your shoulders, so cross one elbow over the other. Give yourself a hug. Come back to that compassionate presence for yourself. Change the cross of your arms. And then pick up your feet, put them on the ground, knees bent. Lift your hips, scooch them right, knees up, come left. Now we get to do a full spinal twist here. Turn your head to the right as your knees go left. Relax your shoulders, breathe deeply. Inhale and lift your knees up, turn your head back toward the ceiling. Adjust so you're neutral, have a breath in neutral. And then let's go to the other side. Hips shift left, knees come up and go right. Chest opens, head turns left. Enjoy, melt your body. Pick up your knees back to neutral one more time. Rest your shoulders. Now we're going to pick up our feet and either just bring your knees into your chest. You can pick up your head too, or a happy baby. You can pick up your head too. So you decide, let the spine round a bit. Just counter posing the back bends. Feel free to rock, feel free to move, anything that you need. And then as we come into Shavasana, sometimes after doing some back bending poses, lying flat is hard. So feel free to put support underneath your knees. Feel free to put your calves up on a chair or a couch. So find what's working for you. Let your breath be here. Let yourself settle. So as you come into whatever position you're finding on the floor that's gentle, can you return to that state of
presence and the state of grace. What does it feel like to flood yourself with compassion? So as you come to lie down, discover that feeling, holding the part of you that's hurting with grace, with love, with care, presence. Can you allow your body to soften into that like you would lean into someone you love's embrace? Melt your eyes. Feel a sense of softness come in to your body, into your face. Let your head drop. Scan your body one more time for anything that's guarded, whether it's purposeful to protect you from pain, whether it's anticipatory, whether it's habitual. See what you can do to melt anything that's possible. Keep staying in your breath. Let's deepen our breathing again. Enjoy coming into any movement that works for you. Feel your breath slow. Remember, your breath is your guide. Let's find our way onto our side as you're ready. Take your time.
Use your arms to help yourself upright. Let your practice be this capacity to be present for strong sensation, whether it's joy, sorrow, pain, worry, excitement, anything. Can we be present for it? Feel that compassion move over you, grace move over you, and offer it outward. Share your energy with another. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.